1930s.
So everybody, welcome to the ancestral home of James K. Polk, for the Presidential Museum of America's 11th president, who served from 1845 to 1849.
It's a family tree.
Everybody, feel free. As the president and first lady were heading into their very final year in office, they were purchasing items from Washington, D.C., New York, and Paris to bring back to Nashville with them. Sarah purchased this furniture from a New York department store in Louis XV design, originally intended for Polk Place before returned here to Nashville. It would be shipped all the way from Great Britain back to Murfreesboro for the Childress family, originally for Sarah and her two other sisters at the time, as Sarah was classically trained and classically educated on that very piano. Designs this private space for the president and first lady.
All
Not really
hand
a
cut.
area throughout the lives. We have the state china here. We have the first congressional portrait of the president right up here. This is him serving his first term from about 1826 to 1828. Him just a little bit over the age of 30. And we have Sarah's companion portrait as well. Her just a little over the age of 22. The reason why these two portraits are done together is because not only is it his congressional portrait, but they're marriage portraits as well, just being a very short period after their marriage. They're both done by Ralph E. Earl. Earl is the personal painter to Andrew Jackson.
Amazing how much he aged.
Yeah, just in a few short years.
I'm using this term very loosely, that he was one of the first sort of department store owners here in the
So did homes of that time period traditionally?
This is actually a pretty common piece. I can lift up a corner right here because it's glued to the floor in the rack.
Oh.
It's referred to as a paper inlay mat. It's several pieces of canvas paper glued together. They would then paint it and cover in wood varnish. Very common for foyers of this time. This being the most traveled room of the house, they wanted to protect the floors, but not have to put down carpets and have constantly cleaning. So with this, it's very easy to maintain and is really good at protecting the floors.
Huh. That's very neat.
The president was in this room for 6 years of his life. All the books and papers that you see are personal documents of his, with an assortment even coming from the White House. He stayed in this room even as a state legislator, but when he was in this room for those 6 years, he'd have to share with 4 other brothers. A total of 5 boys in this room with the President of the United States. As we come over to the next room upstairs, we come over to the president's sister's room. And as you can see, the girls, not only do they get a fireplace, they get a larger space and windows as well, because the women are allowed to be in their room during the day. But with the home being lived in all the way into the 1920s, they want to be able to fit a bathroom in upstairs. So they would add this wall to be able to put a bathroom in the home. But since we became a museum, we wanted to become a better representation if the president was here. So we removed the bathroom and the plumbing and redesigned the room as what more of a trunk closet of the era would have looked like, with a trunk and a duffel bag as well. And our most prized piece in our collection that's not only been to the library, the Smithsonian and other presidential libraries, the only piece of clothing remaining of the 11th presidents. With President Polk dying of cholera in 1849, he had to burn all of his clothing for fear of contamination. But Sarah was able to step in and hide this one jacket away in a trunk, sparing it from the destruction, making it known as the only piece of clothing remaining of the 11th presidents. It's an earlier piece in his life that we get the idea he had while he was a congressman, but since it is a higher class item, we get the idea he would take it to the White House with him. Her later life room, her later life room, because she's America's longest widowed first lady. She lived nearly 43 years after the president's death, to the age of 88, dying in 1891. Not including living first ladies, only 5 first ladies have outlived Sarah Polk. And Sarah remains the second longest lived first lady in American history until Miss Woodrow Wilson lived to the age of 89 in 1965. I like to sidetrack for just a minute, I apologize. I think George Story is actually a really remarkable artist. Considered one of Tennessee's most famous painters, he was actually trained in Venice in Europe, a very highly educated European painter. He would actually do portraits of Queen Victoria, the King of Belgium, and also the Queen of Greece as well. But he would be exiled from Europe after he was caught doing a portrait of the King of Belgium's mistress. My 2 favorite facts about Sarah, I think these are extremely fun. Sarah was best friends with a woman named Adelicious Atkins, the owner of Belmont Mansion. Very highly aristocratic woman here in Tennessee, considered the wealthiest woman in the state of Tennessee during the time. She was so close with Sarah, they wanted to continue talking every day, but they were tired of traveling back and forth from Belmont to Polk Place. So by Miss Atkins' own request, she invited Alexander Graham Bell to actually come to Belmont so she could personally request her and Sarah for telephones so they continue talking to each other. And they not only become one of the first 2 people in the state of Tennessee, but nearly the first 2 people in the South to own and operate telephones as well. If y'all don't want to, that's perfectly fine, but for anybody that would like, feel free to go ahead and touch the sofa.
I'll do it. Oh, it feels like synthetic.
I feel like I have a few people that have gone on tours before. Any guess as to what it's made from?
Eel?
No.
Not eel.
It is a type of hair. Horsehair, exactly right. Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh.
I prefer the term horse mane because it mostly comes from the mane and the tail of the horse.
They could spin yarn, or yeah, cotton. Mm-hmm. Here's the spool right there.
So we are finished with Columbia, Tennessee. We went to the James K. Polk Museum. The docent was very informative of the history of the place. I hope you enjoyed watching all that. Now we are on our way to Franklin, Tennessee to go grope some gold wings at the Honda shop. See what else we find along the way.